let me tell you about my award-winning guest, Kimberly Dvorak, who is an award-winning national security and border security investigative reporter for TV, radio, and the print media. Kimberly is also the senior foreign policy advisor for the Committee for Responsible Foreign Policy. She is a TV correspondent, CW6 News San Diego, as well as One America News Network. Her website is The KD Report. And let me tell you something else she is. She is a lover of the military, but she may be bearing bad news today. Hello, Kimberly. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How about yourself? Have a good weekend?
Pretty good, pretty good. I won't discuss it. It was up and down, and the ups were great, and the downs were, I wish I was still up.
It's usually how it works.
I went to a casino.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me tell you, Trump has got a new problem as if he needed more problems. And this time, and this is hard to believe, the military and everything he's done for them compared to how they were left from the previous administration.
Yeah. Well, we have an issue now where we have 3- and 4-star generals, admirals, who are leaving for the civilian life, and they're actually, the majority of them are working against the President of the United States. In the case of Stanley McChrystal, who we learned had to, actually resign to Obama for making really, disparaging remarks about the commander-in-chief at the time. And this also brings in Michael Hastings, and he was the reporter that actually broke that story. Well, we see, he, got himself involved in intel, and now we're learning that he is kind of running an operation where they're using taxpayer money from DARPA, which is like the super secretive research outfit that the U.S. government uses for the military. And he's using technology that they use to get propaganda to ISIS in the Middle East. He's bringing that home. He's using this information, working with some venture group. We don't know the names of the other people involved in this in the private sector, but they're actually dispensing this onto the American people. So they're using a tool of war on United States citizens if you're a Republican and that's where your name pops up into the system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something kind of off subject a tiny bit. Biden, over the weekend, okay, I was watching a lot of different shows, of course, mostly football, okay, even though I just can't ban it. Well, we won't go there. Anyway, and Biden was running a lot of commercials, and especially one about how he went into Iraq and he got these special armored military trucks, because they were being blown up in Iraq, and he's the one that said, we're going to bring them in here, and blah, blah, blah. And did this happen under the Obama watch?
No, that happened under Bush.
It's got to be one big fraud. I was thinking he probably never did that. And then he's got his son there, right?
Yeah.
Standing there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, this is, vice presidents, when they leave office, they tend to go out and sit on a plurality of boards, multiple boards, making millions of dollars. And when you look at Joe Biden and his role in all of this stuff, he actually, is the same, he's done the same thing. He's, taken his experience from being in the White House and using it to, they call it kind of influence peddling. And that's kind of what they're doing with Biden. I think Biden tends to over-exaggerate. I mean, we know President Trump does as well, but I think that Biden really kind of misremembers like the entire conversation that may have taken place. He just doesn't come out as very conscious as to what's really going on. And to see Stanley McChrystal, former, 4-star in the military, come out openly say he's going to work with people. He's signed on to the Biden campaign, and you're seeing a lot more of these generals come out and support with Biden because they're playing the odds. They're thinking that if Biden wins the election, they're going to need a new Secretary of State. They're going to need a new, Defense Department secretary. They're going to need a whole bunch of advisors and all that. And since they helped get the president, helped Vice President get himself into the Oval Office, that's what they'll do. They'll use that information, and then they will continue this nonstop cycle of swamp creatures, because this is all it does. When people work for one administration and they lose and they go out, they work at, in think tanks and other kinds of academic settings for 4 years or 8 years. And then when their guy comes back in, they're recycled and they come back in and they're working for just a different administration. They continue to do this. They use this to make millions of dollars. And, if you really wanted to point at this topic and look at it very, very deeply, this is something that's close to treason. This is something where they're deploying AI, artificial intelligence. They're using that kind of information, and they're turning that and directing that at the Trump campaign and his supporters. Now, I don't know of any country that would really allow somebody else to do something like that, but it's getting dangerously close. And, when you look at things like this, you think of military coups. Well, these, folks have been in the military their entire lives, and it looks like they're trying to do just that, without firing a shot, presumably by using the, AI capabilities that was, garnered and researched through DARPA, which is taxpayer. And there's, this latest report from the Project on Government Oversight, they're saying that this is costing taxpayers billions of dollars. And it's in the form of contracts that go from A to B, and that could have been an open contract process, but a general knows how to get around the Pentagon. So let's say Raytheon wants to build a new state-of-the-art tank, for example. Then they hire on the general, and they go down to the Pentagon. They have meetings with people that they know, and bam, all of a sudden you've got a couple $1 billion in contracts going to Raytheon, non-competitive contracts. So there's a big danger, and Eisenhower really, really, really focused on this at the end and said, be very careful of the military-industrial complex, and this is exactly what he was worried about.
And and this is 100% opposite of, let's say, a young person going into the military and learning a trade and coming back out and working into that trade.
Yeah. Well, this has nothing to do with the rank and file. All of this, none of this has to rank and file, because the rank and file, they're following orders, they do their time, they get out, they go to college maybe if that's what they signed up for. But this is the so-called elites in the military, and they're the ones that are going out there and muddying the waters, let's just put it that way, as well as trying to interfere in an upcoming election because they want their guy Biden to win so they can get back to having that power that they have. And in having those high security clearances, they keep a lot of their security clearances, but if you're the Secretary of Defense, you're going to get pretty much almost everything that the President of the United States gets. So you like being a part of that. For them, it's the adrenaline, and that they get to carry on in some sort of aspect in the defense industry once they leave for civilian life. But what they're doing in this and turning around and deploying, AI on American citizens is just absolutely appalling. And I'm not certain, but I did not see any mainstream media coverage on any of this. They don't want to talk about this because right now it's favoring their guy.
Yep, and the defense industry, when there is war, that equals dollars, okay? Yep. And Trump is the guy that's pouring them out, pulling them out.
Yep.
And remember when they were having that problem, and the airplane got shot down, we figure, and from Iran and all that.
Oh, the drone? Yeah. The drone.
Yeah, and the Democrats, are hollering now. We need more. Get more troops in there. Do this and do that. It's money. It's a shame that it's that way.
It is. But there's a better, and President Trump has been lately, as of late, he's actually been, pretty strong on this. He said, I don't get the impression that the generals like me much. I really don't care. I have the support of the rank and file, which he does. And the president has actually come out and kind of highlighted some of this, cozying up to lobbyists and such, and so he's jumping into the swamp here and pointing out that these generals, maybe not necessarily doing, what's right for the United States of America, but they're just looking out for their own bottom line. But there's, the president says he's hesitant to, not sell, or not, keep the military's spending budget high because he wants to keep that money, going in the U.S. economy. My contention, a lot of people that, I've talked to, let's take that money that we would be using to drop bombs over in the Middle East, and let's use that to build, projects in this country, roads, bridges, high-speed rail. I mean, the Army Corps of Engineers is really good at this stuff, so maybe they should work on getting some shovel-ready projects, redirecting the military to go out there and, build roads, bridges. I mean, they've done it before. They did that. They've done it before. So it's just something that it's really kind of, you want the money to be spent and in the economy, which is great. We do want that. But let's just redirect it. So it's not used in the Middle East where we get zero return on our money. Where in the United States, you'd have to hire a whole bunch of people. They'd pay more taxes. And now you've got the economy bumping along. Plus, the United States will be, a lot better off as far as, technology. And we'll be able to, have our own manufacturing companies and not depend on the world. We've become energy independent. Let's become independent of, other things that American people lead.
Have you mentioned yet, because I don't think you talked about it yet, but the biased anti-Trump tech that Google's using called Jigsaw?
Yeah.
And I got to tell you something, listener. Did you already talk about that? Did you mention that?
Yeah, we mentioned it, but we can go deeper into that if you like.
Well, the guy that runs it, see, that's the really interesting part, the guy who's in charge of it.
Yep.
He's a veteran, right?
Veteran of something.
Hillary Clinton's State Department, yes.
Yeah, he worked under Hillary Clinton, and they put together this Jigsaw program where this is something that they get computers, and computers or AI learns a specific task or what to look for by repetition. Let's do it over and over. Here's this word. This is a red flag word. Over and over. And then finally the computer, whenever something comes up, that key search that's in there, it'll pop right up on the screen. And then you have people who are monitoring comments under stories. That's what this program is about. It's going out, and it's actually, they work with the New York Times, so that also tells you what you need to know about Jigsaw.
So this is perfect when it's an election time, right? Perfect,
exactly. But what they're doing is they're taking down comments that, anybody in the, that's leaving comments, say they're Republican, Independent, Libertarian, if they're leaving comment, focusing on the article and highlighting all the things that were left out, this program will go in and help people at the New York Times and Google as well to actually remove that comment from the internet. So now so nobody can ask any more questions, and they coin, their attempt at this, saying, well, we're just going after hate speech, but that's not really what it is.
Yeah.
They want to censor their speech.
I'll give you an example, Kimberly. Had a story today. I haven't done it because it's really lengthy, and I hope you've seen it. It's entitled "Correct the Record." Biden makes 33 false or misleading claims at the first debate. Yeah. Now, see, that would be labeled as hate speech.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a very good example. That's a very good example. Yeah. Anybody that challenges the narrative that the left has right now is being shut down. They're not, they're deplatforming people so they can't go out and go onto Facebook as freely. They push down all the traffic that could usually go through people's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram accounts. They all have this capability. And we've seen it all too often where they've even tried to censor the President of the United States, which, I mean, is, another one that's really, kind of astonishing that they think that that's okay and appropriate. I'd like to just finish with this. What goes around comes around. And, if the Democrats carry on down this road doing this, there's going to be GOPers, Republicans, that are going to do the similar thing. And, they're getting dangerously close to censorship of the American people. And, we have a First Amendment, and they're going to have to deal with the FCC because that's the only way this is going to end.
Yeah, we're going to have, going into a break here, we'll probably have a big hearing, and the Republicans could do it. We could have collusion of the American people, because of what they did. All right, that wasn't very smart, Chuck. Thank you very much, Kimberly Dvorak, thekdreport.com. And, Kimberly, the thing is, you can look at a balancing act, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
You can be a general, and, of course, you're on the inside, well, this weapon's good, this weapon's not good.
Yeah.
But then, I guess the main thing is, if your priorities are you love a Democratic president more than a Republican president, then maybe you want to go against them. The other thing is that maybe it might be a lot of money in your pocket for the guy who says, this is what we need, and look how good I am, and it's not necessarily good for America.
Yeah.
It's really a balancing act, isn't it?
It is, and I think this is where the swamp is a very good term for, what's taking place in this country. And it's a huge driver as into how President Trump was elected. The American people were really sick and tired of politicians, promising something and then not doing anything about it. And they were upset with, obviously, politicians from both political parties. And, you look at this, and American people, I think with COVID, are a little more open and reading a little bit more because they're not going out as much, or they may be working from home, so they have more time to look at this information. And when you look at, social media and how the outreach works on that, and you have to say, for example, that, probably 90% of the people working in those companies actually do not like Republicans. Although if you were to ask anybody, okay, what is it about President Trump that you dislike so much? And the usual answer, well, he's mean, he's a bully. Those aren't policies. I mean, you may not like the personality or the man of the personality, but he's delivered on a whole host of policy issues, ranging from, the MSCA, the trade deal with Mexico and Canada, rebalancing that, putting tariffs on China. He said he was going to do that. Started building the wall a little bit until, Congress got in his way and stopped any kind of money going to the wall. So, I mean...
And, of course, the main thing is employment, how many people are employed and how many jobs there are, and all the good things that he's done for every different color in America.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And here I saw a report this morning, where the Latinos are all for Biden, this was on a Fox News poll that I saw this morning. Yeah, they're 80% or whatever, I don't believe in the polls. Hillary was way ahead during the last presidential election. Yeah,
and we know that President Trump's support has been surging with the Hispanics because they prospered over the last 4 years, just before COVID. They've done well. They came from socialist countries. They're not in a hurry to go back to that. They fled those countries. And, the ones that vote, hopefully that's all we have in the election. But as you know, we have people that vote that aren't supposed to. But I think you're definitely going to see the numbers increase of Hispanic voters this time around for President Trump. It's a touchy issue. I know with trying to put people within their own races and all that stuff. But for the American people, President Trump has come through for them, as he said. He's got work to do in the second tour, so we'll see if he gets that. But other than that, he's done a decent enough job.
Yeah.
He's had to like fight against the military, the media, the Democrats. I mean, I don't know how he wakes up every day.
Really? All right. Hey, Kimberly, all out of time. You know, the one you have to worry about those little people that have already been indoctrinated in our colleges. You know, that's the problem. Yeah. Oh, socialism, good. Yeah. Everywhere it's gone. What do you mean it didn't work? Well, it'll work here. This will be the first time. All right. BKDReport.com. Kimberly Dvorak, D-V-O-R-A-K. Thank you, ma'am. We'll do it again.